say that his work, when he does it, is immaculate. And the churchyard, when he's done it, it's beautiful. It's, you know, it's manicured. But, and that's why it's been a shame to see it get overgrown and messy. And he does do a lovely job, but not necessarily in the right time.
Right.
Because we probably have one of the most generous churchyard contracts of any council that I know, in terms of the amount of money that we spend. But that was a decision taken by the council many years ago because they wanted the churchyard to look, you know, to look absolutely well presented, and I think he does do a good job on that. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's down to you as a council. You know, you've got the options to decide whether you either want to, if you want to monitor it, that's fine, for a few months before you make that decision. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Jason has already invested in some of this kit, so whether, you know, we've got a little bit of time on our side because we wouldn't normally review it until November anyway for the following year. He has already invested, so to some extent, I'm not sure that any decision we took tonight would necessarily make any difference because the decision he's taken has already been taken. But, you know, a matter for you really, as to whether you feel you want to monitor it, whether you want to tender it, is a choice for you actually, you know. It really is. But, as I say, he's been around a long time, with Jason. And, you know, I think we have had a good relationship with him over the years.
When we went out to tender, the thing that put a lot of people off tendering was the fact that we asked them to do the churchyard, because they looked at it and they thought, I can't do this. I just cannot. I haven't got the labour to do it or the know-how that Jason has to go around it, which is a big part of Jason's work. But I would propose that we extend this contract in accordance with his wishes and our wishes to keep him there so that he can keep himself going. But in saying that, I do think he needs to produce this tick sheet to tell us what he's done and when he's done it. I really do. It should be part of our terms and conditions that we want him to adhere to.
Part of our monthly reporting.
Yes, yes, it is. I mean, if we can get somebody to do the village green from amongst us, he can just tick what he does each week or each month.
Easier with technology these days, can you photograph what he's done and send it via WhatsApp or some way that it's easy and he doesn't have to think about paperwork and...
Tracy, I have no idea what to be honest with you. But Bob?
Just following on from that, Colin, I think it may be where we do our normal sort of run through of the outstanding footpaths, highway matters, if we have a section there which is village maintenance contract, then members can report back at that time if they've got any concerns.
I think so. Probably we all monitor it.
And on top of that, I think we do need to make it very clear to Jason, but also to others, that the only people that give him instructions to do anything is the clerk or the chairman. Nobody else. Because even if we do it to members, we could have 3 members here and all have a different view of what a particular verse should look like. So if it comes from the 2 of you and he knows it's only coming from you, can we make sure the church know that it only comes through you as well? So I think at least that keeps everyone clear.
So that's a proposal. Can we have a seconder? Amanda, all those in favour? That's great. Thank you. Where are we?
Just
charity funds.
Up to now, we've all done banking through one current banking account with Unity Trust, which is all fine and it works okay. But we do have a number of reserves which are separated from our operational money. But that's all in the same mix. And it's very hard sometimes to know what's reserves and what is available to the council in terms of various reserves that we have. We also have a Brent Knoll charity reserve, which was set up many, many moons ago, and it was intended to support the poor of the village. I don't know how long ago it was set up.
It's something ridiculous, like 1700.
We had some poor people in the village. But basically the charities fund was set up a long time ago. It's not a charity account now as such. We don't publish anything on the charity website that we used to, because for many years the charity fund got lost in the system. From a handover that I had from a previous clerk, it was kind of lost in the ether. It took me several years to sort it out, and we got it sorted out eventually, and that's with a different bank, NatWest. My proposal would be that we have a separate reserves account set up against our normal current account for our reserves, which would include an identifiable amount called Brent Knoll Charities. So in other words, the charities account is still there, it's in our Brent Knoll reserves, in our Unity Trust account, and therefore it's much easier managed, should we want to do so. And, you know, knowing bank transfers and so forth, I'm sure it won't be a 5-minute job. It'll come with some complications attached to it, I almost guarantee. But the sooner we start doing it, the sooner we can get it ready for next year's audit. So if you're happy to do that, I would like to pass a resolution to support it, if you felt appropriately disposed.
Proposer. David, seconder. Matt, John, all those in favour? That's
Okay,
good.
thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's fine. The other financial, that's all part of the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just one thing, we did have one query on the external audit, which Malcolm assisted me on. There was a typo on the external auditor, which they sent back to me, and which needed a handwritten restatement. And Colin was away at the time, so I took it over to Malcolm, and Malcolm did the signatory on it. So that's the only thing, as far as I know, that was a problem. Just so you're aware.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Updated matters of weight restriction. I don't think that's just ongoing, isn't it? Anything on 20 mile an hour side of school?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. Correspondence?
Nothing that you haven't already received by
Okay.
email.
Item 9 then, 9A. I think you've updated us on the land, but are you anything
Yeah,
else?
no, nothing. It will go through as soon as the payment of the land transfer will take place. Colin's outlined the quotes for the work to be completed. It's taken a bit of time, but we got there in the end.
I think when the work's done, we need to decide what notices we're going to put up there and tape off the area or something, but we can decide that when the contractor tells us. Okay. Community shop. Bob, do you want to bring us up to date on that?
Yes, I'm not sure. There's been a great deal of movement from last time. We're awaiting currently the draft of plans to come through from our architect. Post that, obviously, we will then be going out for quotes, so that we've got estimates as to what we need to be spending, so that we can come back to the council with the final authority to proceed or not. But I think in the last few weeks there hasn't been a lot of movement, so hopefully, when he gave us the information about when he was likely to be ready, we were thinking it would be maybe around about now, so it should be in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping to get something. So it might mean that we might need to have a meeting, possibly in August.
First
shop
meeting in August.
Yeah. What's the deadline for our loan
Well,
application?
sort of October, end of October is our loan deadline at the moment, because that's about a year then from the previous. So ideally we need to make a decision August/September at the very latest if we're going to meet that deadline. So yeah, an August meeting will probably be required if there's only a single item, community shop, possibly.
Unless there's a subcommittee meeting in the interim.
Could do, but of course the whole council will need to make a decision on the costs if we get a quote, for example. So
Okay.
you see how it goes really.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on the community shop? Just a matter of interest. Any comments? Okay. Thank you. C. Consideration of allotment provision. John.
Thank you. So I've had a couple of meetings over the last few weeks been very productive. One with a Karen Downward, who is a parish councillor from Birmingham Without, that some of you may know. She has spent the last 2 or 3 years setting up a project called Forge Green Allotments, which is the other side of the motorway, Edith Mead. She has brought that to fruition only a few weeks ago and has a 2-acre site with provision for 60 allotments in Edith Mead. So she's just getting up and running. I've had a good chat with her and understand a bit more about the process. And secondly, had a chat with somebody called Alan Cavell, who is the Southwest Coordinator from the National Allotment Society. He a very enthusiastic guy. He has set up 71 allotment projects in the southwest in the last few years. Said it's very much of a renaissance of allotments, and it's certainly becoming a real destination for towns and villages in the area. His advice to me was to look to start a society for this area. He's very supportive. He would love to come down and address the council for 5 or 10 minutes if he was permitted. But at this stage, and further to a couple of conversations on email, I'm putting forward that I'd like to make the project kind of official in a way, and that gives the project some sort of gravity. It would be joining the National Allotment Society, which is a fee of £30, and would be just some promotion of that in this area, but also the other villages, the East Brent, Lymsham, possibly Barrow, possibly the other way, to give it some gravity, which would then effectively formalise. I've had a number of people in the village already who said they'd like to be on board. Refer to the chairman's comments. Chris Byrne at the school was very keen to see something in and around the village, and thinks other schools might be interested as well. So from his side, the school is definitely losing its holly tunnel and fruit veg flowers facilities in the summer for development of the school, with the classrooms being added this summer. So he is on board, very happy support from his side, as not only as the headmaster but also as a fellow allotment person, recognises its value to a community as well. So really just say that I've had some good enthusiasm from people locally. There was a question about land. I can't really, or the group that hopefully comes together, can't really progress it until it is a thing. And the thing is effectively a Brent Knoll and surrounding society. So my request really is to ask you any questions on it. I think it's a project that would be great for this area, and it involves just a small amount of money to step it over the line at this point.
John, have you got any ideas of proposed sites, just a matter of interest?
So yeah, further to that point, I have at least 3 potential sites that may work. One has already been discussed a few years ago on the outskirts of Brent Knoll.
Can you tell us, the reason I'm asking is that I think if you're going to choose a site, you've got to be very careful, because people don't want to look out of their gardens or their front rooms onto a field with 60 sheds on, 60 greenhouses, 60 polytunnels, 60 bonfires burning rubbish, with 60 cars coming and going. I know I've exaggerated, but you've got to be very sensitive where you put this. And I don't know what other councillors feel, but I think they're valid comments. I really do. And I think you've got to select your site. I mean, if the site is at Edith Mead, well away from a community and housing, that's fine. Whether it provides an eyesore on the road, I've no idea. But I think you've got to be dead careful how you go about it. So where are your sites? Roughly, where are you thinking of?
So at this stage, I couldn't say one specific site, but there have been others identified.
No, I'm not asking for specific sites.
Yeah.
I'm saying, where are your sites? Where you must have done a bit of preparatory work on it. Where are your sites?
They would be on the outskirts of this village and an additional village. And just further to your other points, which are valid points that came up from conversations with the Forge Green project that went on, a number of those points I've addressed, and it is possible to limit the development of what you actually do on that field. So, for example, Forge Green have said, very small polytunnels, no fires, no animals. The National Honor Society will effectively address some of those issues, of which the 71 projects have all had the same considerations in the southwest area, and their chair is, the southwest coordinator, sorry, is very aware that those things do come up and can be addressed from a parish point of view.
Would we have to agree a planning application for it?
Not necessarily. There are certain rules that apply to allotments that mean that you don't necessarily need planning. It depends on the scale as much as anything.
Okay, thank you.
One thing we would need to do, of course, if we discussed individual sites, we would have to have a press exclusion, because a person may not want it to be disclosed. So we might have to press and public exclusion and non-recorded, so that it becomes a confidential session. Because like we did with affordable housing, we have to actually make sure that landowners themselves were protected.
It seems to me that, sorry Magdalene, I just want to make, it seems to me that this is nothing to do with the parish council then.
That's what I was going to say.
You know, if you want to go and get a plot of land to have an allotment on, it's nothing to do with us. We have no say, unless it's a big one, big development. It's not a parish council matter.
And I was going to say, if it's neighbouring villages of Limpsham and East Brent and Breen and wherever else, are they going to pay their £30 to affiliate to this association, or does that all just fall on Brent Knoll?
So it, as I said, at this stage it is a project which would hopefully would be from this side of the parish council and some from other members of the village shall take up all your points.
But it isn't a parish council
No.
project or matter. That's the conclusion I'm coming to, because you'll go ahead and do it anyway.
It doesn't exist at this point other than it's being something that I myself started off. So agreed. However, it'd be nice that there would be some support as it progresses.
And so we need to give you £30 or award you £30 so that you can go ahead and register this project and get yourself going.
That is the figure. If it's considered not bigger, then obviously I'm going to raise it in a different way.
So,
I just wonder if there's any sort of membership or constitution to the association. It's just been really useful to see the guidelines and boundaries and requirements.
Absolutely, and the National Honor Society would advise on that point and would come and talk to the parish council from their side.
Okay.
So,
Personally, I think it's really great to support.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
well, the proposal really is that John has requested whether the parish council donate the sum of £30 so that you can get his project going, which will obviously be for the benefit of the community, but is not a parish council. We've got enough to deal with, the way I see it on the parish council. But if we support John in his role as a councillor,
Well, could I just query one thing again with the registration? Is it, I don't know how it works, is it an organisation that's registered, or is it an individual that gets registered?
No, it's just it's effectively it starts a free-floating society.
So there would be like the Brent Knoll Allotment Society,
Correct.
is what would be registered.
Exactly
Yes.
that. It's just a name. It's just a name within a joint.
Because I think, I mean, we could, as a supporting thing, do that as a grant to an organisation, whereas we couldn't do it to an individual.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
well, if we're minded to do the £30 to help them get started, then that at least gets that going, and it gives them that ability.
So I propose it. Do I take it you've seconded it?
Happy to say.
So all those in favour? But it's not a parish council project, and it's going to, if you like, the Brent Knoll Allotment Society to help you get started.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay. Surgery for 6th of September.
Not necessarily for anybody actually. We had Bob came yesterday, and Alina of course, and I think Sarah was coming, but you weren't able to make it.
Somebody's phone.
No,
So if I do the village green, does that mean I do the...
Not necessarily, no, it can be anybody after surgery.
I haven't done it, so I should.
That's fine, okay,
probably
so
do it.
colleagues who come to that,
Yeah.
and anybody else can come. I mean, it's not meant to be just one councillor, it's meant to be anybody who can come, basically, because, you know, the idea is that you come meet the public.
And they can meet you.
And they can meet you.
This is true.
Exactly.
This is
Exactly.
true. Yeah. Okay, training.
And have a couple of things of chocolate biscuit as well.
Training.
I just get a chocolate biscuit. No biscuit at all, actually.
Training for councillors, basically we've got the 5 going on the planning training next Wednesday, and then Jane, you're going on a SALC, roles and responsibilities course with them. Should be quite interesting actually.
That's Monday evening, isn't it?
That's right, it's a Zoom one though,
Yes.
isn't it? It's a virtual one, whereas the planning one is a physical one.
Right.
So that's the difference really.
Well done, Jane.
So yeah, and you can tell us all about it.
Policy adoption, safeguarding and data
Yeah,
consent.
well, safeguarding is an interesting one because most organisations that I know of have safeguarding policies. For some reason, it's not something which many councils have involved themselves with. And when you think we do actually come up against the public, you know, certainly even things like surgeries, for example, we do. And it occurred to me that we should really look at a safeguarding policy as a council, because it would cover us as well for any issues that might arise in the future. I'm sure it won't, but you never know. So I sent round to you a copy of the safeguarding policy, which I thought was worth consideration, and no doubt you might have some comments to make on it. But that safeguarding policy is one that's approved by the SLCC. It's one that's used by some councils. The only one locally, I think, that use it at the moment is probably Bleeding. I think the only one. I think Sally Diaz is using it in Puritan. I think. Apart from that, we would be one of the first using a safeguarding policy. And I'm a great believer we should be ahead of the game, not being dragged along. So I don't know what your thoughts are on it. Are you happy to adopt it as a policy, having, I'm sure, read it in full detail?
Bob, could I just ask one thing? I may have missed it in there, but on most of the safeguarding policies, there is a named contact that someone.
Yes.
Safeguarding officer.
Who is that on your?
Well, at the moment, be me.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I would be the named person, but I guess possibly the chairman ought to be on there as well, because if it was, for example, if the safeguarding policy applied to me, for example, then you'd need to have somebody else who was uninvolved. So it's important to have 2 people. So I think perhaps it should be that way around. The data consent form is just simply a form that I'm starting to use to get permission to use people's email addresses, because as you probably appreciate, I send the minutes out to quite a lot of people now, about 40 odd people in the village, and what I do every year, I ask them whether they're happy to consent to that, but we really should have a document that they should sign to say that they are happy with it, actually. And we can only use them for that purpose. So I can only send minutes out as an agendas. I can't send it round to them saying, what did you think of the fete last week? It can only be used for very specific reasons. And if I want to change that usage, I have to go back to them under GDPR and ask again for permission. All this legal stuff, wonderful stuff in there. Okay, so if you're happy with that, can I have a resolution to approve? Thank you. Somebody put this on them. Somebody raised this last time, additional place services for special needs. I don't know who it
That
was.
was me, wasn't it? Yeah.
Jane. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done anything about it, sorry, because I didn't. But the slide, the tall metal slide, it's a bit dated, and I always think they're a bit dangerous as well. I remember falling off the top of them. And whether to have something specific for special needs, i.e. a special swing. But I know they are astronomical in price.
Yeah, and that is our problem.
Yeah.
In our budget, we're starting to accrue, correct if I'm wrong, so much per annum, which is, you know, we've only got a budget of £30,000. So a new slide, taking that one out and putting a new one in, probably costs us £8,000 to £10,000.
Yeah.
So it is very expensive.
Yeah.
But we will accrue some money. But
Is there a legal obligation to provide something for disabilities or women?
I
This
have
is
no
not of
idea.
interest. If you're providing for other children,
I don't know.
we
I
can't
think you
answer
could
that.
find some legislation somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The only other thing I was going to say was one of the things we did when we put the original climbing frame in, and again when we did that spinning witches hat thing, was we did consult with the kids in the village as to what things they liked playing on,
Yeah.
what they'd like to see on there.
Mm.
I think it would be worth doing a bit of that before we either take anything out or put anything in,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we may take out stuff that we think is really dull,
Yeah.
and the kids might say that's the one thing we really like.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
I mean, there's loads of stuff, Jane. I'd like to take the roundabout out, which is old and past its sell-by
Yes,
date. You know, all sorts of things. It's an annual problem.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm thinking, when I used to work with special needs, we'd go to Apex Park because the equipment they had there was suitable for
Yeah.
children in wheelchairs and getting them in and out. And
Yeah.
various parks have bits that are specific.
Yeah. Well, they're fortunate that they get some SIL money that they can use.
Right.
We are not in that
No.
bracket.
And also Apex Park run and maintained by Sedgemoor, not by the town council, so their budgets are slightly
Yeah.
Right.
We do what we can,
Yes.
but it is difficult.
Yeah.
Every year there are demands to do something on the village green
Yeah.
to make it better and more exciting for kids, but it's terribly costly.
Yeah. No,
And I think-
that.
To be honest, until we get the shop sorted and we know where we are financially,
Yes.
it's really difficult. Sarah?
So asking a stupid question, but in terms of funding, what we do we just get that funded from the council? Is there any other donations and any other money that we get from fundraising in the village?
Well, we can't fund those.
We can't, okay, I
No.
appreciate that. Okay.
No, we're not allowed to.
Okay,
No,
right, thank you.
as I found to my cost once.
Okay, thank you.
Grants is our best source of funding, if
Yes.
we want to go outside of our precinct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
you know, if we could get our heads together and make some grant applications, I'd be delighted to get involved with that. But, you know, we've all got jobs and responsibilities, and I mean, dealing with footpaths and stuff like that is time consuming. But if you wanted to get involved with looking at grants, say from lottery or something like that, it would be a big job to get done, but we could do it if we work together as a team. And it can't all be put on one person's shoulders, as it were. So if you've got any energies, I'd be pleased to work with you on that. Yeah.
Also, I belong to a local clerks group, and we get together about 4 times a year, and some quite good ideas come out of that very often. It's parish councils like East Brent, Lipsham, Barrow, Breen, and we all get together and have a bit of a natter about things, and it's amazing what comes out of those conversations. So if I pick up anything on that from anybody, I'll certainly bring it back to the council.
Perhaps everybody put their heads to it over the next couple of months, so we meet in September, and think about how we could do something on the village green that would not take out the old stuff and replace it with some new stuff. I mean, we've got brochures galore on equipment, but we haven't got money galore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, think about it and happily work with anybody on it. Okay, zigzag lines near the school.
That was also raised by somebody on the matters of report last time. I can't remember who it was.
Parking.
Was it Melina? Was it you, Melina? Yeah, right.
Okay, we'll park that one then.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
A good old favourite, the Fox and Goose Junction. That came up as an item of matters report.
I'm not sure people are taking notice of the 40 mile an hour change when you try and get out of that
Yeah,
junction. People are.
Yeah, it's interesting. Further on, they've got 40 mile an hour control signs. If you go Tarnock, past Tarnock, there's a 40 mile an hour sign. Yeah, yeah, but we've got nothing. Yeah.
There was an interesting thing on next door saying that if you get a speeding ticket for coming up this new 40 section, the signage is incorrect and therefore your fine won't stand. I'm not sure how accurate that is, Bob, whether the signage is correct.
I'd be surprised if it's wrong, because it was raised with, because East Brent particularly felt that there weren't enough 40 mile an hour repeater signs. So we went back to County Highways and said, can you double check? And they said, the signs, the size of the signs are right and the numbers
And
are correct.
distance.
So they're saying there are enough to make it enforceable. I mean, the other thing we might be able to look at is again with Nichols. We could potentially use the sit-up there occasionally if we can agree a site, because it's within a restricted area of speed. And you'll have seen up at the speedway, they've had 40 mile an hour on there. That's done by Burnham Without Council, and the ones at Rooksbridge were done by East Brent Council. The flashing signs as you go through East Brent in both directions.
Nichols said he doesn't do their speed indicators now because they stopped doing them.
At which?
At East Brent.
No, there are, as you go through Rooksbridge, there are 2 permanent flashing
Oh, yes.
warning signs.
Yeah.
They were paid for by East Brent,
Oh, okay.
but they are permanently fixed
Right.
in location, so they don't move.
Well, I can ask him, would you meet me down the
Yeah.
A38 and we can decide
Yeah.
an appropriate place? I've got some brackets.
Okay.
Okay. It's interesting that I went to France at the weekend and those Evolus units are all over the place. They really are all over the place. Yeah. Okay, Fox and Goose. Steps. Do you want some steps so we can get the flagpole?
Well, normally, see, I have to get one leg up on the stone, grab the pole,
Yeah,
heave myself up,
you do.
with the flag over my shoulder, balance on one leg, like that, and it would be much easier.
We don't want to make it easy for you.
Can I just check, have you tried using the steps that are in the storeroom?
I didn't know there were any.
How
I
does she get
wasn't-
access to them?
With John's birthday.
but which we're not going to
Oh,
say
in
on
the
the
store
camera.
and that? Oh, yes. We can give you that. Yeah, don't tell them, Pike.
I didn't know any of this, because when David showed me how to put the flag up, he
I
said we
don't
had to
use,
heave
I
ourselves
don't
onto the
use them, that's
stone.
why.
Yeah, we can give you the secret code.
If I'd been any sort of clerk, I told you that, didn't I?
There's such a secret, you didn't know.
Because I was going to say, well, where are you going to keep them if you have them? Because you couldn't leave them out, so they'd have to be stored. So
Yeah.
they're already in there. Job done. Job
Big
sorted.
Oh, yeah, that saves a few grand.
Brilliant. Yeah. Right. Last item, matters of report.
Yeah.
John, the next meeting. Anything? Amanda, next meeting. Tracy, anything? Melina? Sarah? No. There's only one item for me, and I forgot to tell you or bring it up. I want to spend the Nuttall Trust money at the next meeting on a bench. I've got a quote for it, but I forgot to
Yeah,
do
okay.
it. Please. Yeah. Thank you all for a great meeting. You've all made an input, and I value your comments and judgments, and it's been really positive, and thank you. Thanks very much. Have a good holiday, have a good break. I hope we don't have to have an interim meeting in August, but if not, if we have to, then yes. But other than that, have a great holiday. See you in September. Thank you.
Please,